Yo, this is it. I'm Mr. Fade, and you're listening to Attack of the Beats on IllMuzik.com. Here we are once again, another episode, another five beats, I think. Yeah, 5 beats this time. And I'm trying to relax, first of all, because today's been pretty crazy, actually. Kind of stressful. Just dealing with people in general, you know. Shit just stresses you out some days, and it's just like you just want to sit down and, I don't know, make some beats or listen to beats or just do nothing. I don't know. But I'm going to listen to 5 beats and I'm going to review them because that's what I do. And we'll get started right away. First up, we've got RC Diavolo with Devils in the Lilacs. Let's check it out. All right. Okay, so that was RC Diavolo with Devils in the Lilacs. All right, so this beat is interesting because it's not my typical, or not the typical, hip-hop beat, let's say. Okay, so, like I always say to people, I don't know what you're working with, what you're doing, or, what this track is. Like some people, it's a beat that's just, they made a beat for this show. Some people just made a beat that they just have, like, they just, like, send me the beat they just have there. Or it's part of a project. So I'm assuming this is part of some kind of project or whatever. And the interesting about this is that the first of all, the whole mix, the sounds of everything, it just sounds nice. It sounds professional. That's my first impression of this beat. So I like that. The fact that you got a nice mix and everything just sounds clean, really. I mean, I was really impressed with that. The thing is, though, is that to me, it sounds more or less like the vocals are the focal point. And the beat is just kind of like a backing track, you know what I mean? So, in the studio, you usually have that, you have your backing track and you just have, just someone singing and then you just throw your track in there, just something for them to sing over and all that. And the thing is with this, I think that's what you're focusing on is those vocals all the way through. So again, like, I don't know what this is aimed at. Okay. So if you're aiming this at some kind of, at a rapper, let's say some MC to spit on top of this, I don't know. I can't really see that either, but I would say, though, if you were going for something like that, because most of the guys that send the beats in are going for that, so I would say, of course, back off on the vocals a bit, leave some room for the MC, but I don't think you were going for that, really. So anyway, but the thing is that it just didn't really sound like a complete beat, if you know what I mean. It's like I was saying, it just sounds like it's the vocals really that you're doing, and then the backing track is just whatever. So, but it is a nice backing track. I like the percussion, everything, the way you did all your drum work and stuff. It's good. But I would get rid of those horns because they just sounded out of place to begin with. But then when they got stronger and stronger, it just totally drowned out the vocals. So that just kind of ruined it and stuff. But when you did have just the percussion part, just that backing track, it sounded good. So I would just focus on that more and do something with that, because the vocals, I think it really takes away from this whole thing. Like, it just doesn't really come across as a full-fledged beat, if you know what I mean. So that's all I can really give advice on or something like that. But it's just, like I said, it's hard to judge sometimes what people are sending in. But like I said, the one thing I really like though is the fact that you have a very professional sound on this. So I keep working with that shit. That's good. All right, so next up we've got Dynamico with Untitled. Let's check it out. All right. Okay, so that was Dynamico with Untitled. So here we have a beat where this is another interesting beat. It's just, see, this one here, it's just that it's funny, when you're making beats, because sometimes, like for myself, like I'll find a nice kick, nice snare, for example, and it sounds good. It's got a nice thump to it, nice kick, nice smack to the snare, whatever. But it's not necessarily gonna go with the beat that I'm doing now. You know what I mean? Like, so like in this case, with your drums that you have the kick and snare, and by the way, I don't really hear the hat, so I would do something with that, because the thing with the kick and snare is that the kick, they both sound nice, but the kick's a little too thumpy. Okay, so either keep that kick and EQ it somewhat to lighten it up a bit, or just get something new. You could keep the snare, although I would recommend that you add some reverb to the snare, just a bit, just to give it a little bit of space, a little bit of ambiance or whatever. And like I said, for the hi-hat, throw that in there, because I don't hear it. Because once you do that, then it's going to spice up the drum track. Because right now, it's just kind of, just kick, snare. So it's kind of dull, the drum track, But like I said, even though the drums do sound good, though, except for that thumping of the kick, though. But it is good. So now, the other thing, too, is that, again, like, I don't know what you're working with, how you're doing your tracks, whatever. But I mean, I think a lot of guys, what they do is when they're making a beat, when making the drums, let's say, is that they forget about swing or quantizing or something like that. So I don't know what you're using or whatever, but I would assume that you weren't quantizing it or something, because the drums sound just a little off. It's weird. I don't know what you're using, so it just sounds a little off to me, like they're a little like the kick's a little late or something like that. So check that out. And the cello's nice. The piano in the background, very, very nice. I like it. I like the way you used the whole 2 minutes. But I would have loved to have heard the piano on its own. Okay, because it sounded really nice. Okay, because what you could do with the piano is have it, isolate it. You have it very low right now, and then just slowly build it up, make it louder and louder and stuff. That would be really nice, because it's a nice piano. So use that. And the other thing too is that I noticed, I don't know where it's coming from, but I noticed some clicking, like some really bad clicking here and there and stuff. So it's like a sample is clicking. Maybe it's the piano. I don't know. But I can hear it. I can hear it all the way through. So you should check that. But it's nice though. I like that cello violin or whatever. That's some dope shit. But would love to hear more of the piano. But like I said, the kick is the main thing to work on, I would say. And see what you can get out of that. All right, so next up we've got Emmanuel H with Feel and Bass. Let's check it out. All right. Okay, so that was Emmanuel H with Feel and Bass. All right, so this beat here. Okay, what we have is it's a nice drum track. You got the kick and snare. Although the snare, I would ease off on the reverb a bit. I love using reverb on the snare, but not that much. Because the way you did it there, it just made the drum track sound like it's just sitting on top of the bass. Like it just didn't really blend with the bass, let's say. But as far as the bass line, that's the main thing. It's funny because listening to it, it sounds good, nice pattern and everything, but it's just because of the high parts of the bass that you use, those high notes, it doesn't sound good. It sounds, well, I'm not gonna say amateurish, but it just sounds kind of plain, I don't know. But it's just, I would say if you keep that, then you should bring the bass down a key, bring the pitch down or whatever, just bring it down a notch. And keep the same pattern, and see how that sounds, because the bass doesn't really sound too heavy, let's say, something like that. But then you have those parts where you don't have those high notes in the bass, and it sounds good. Then the bass sounds pretty good. But what's interesting though is that when you have the parts where it's just the drums and the piano, and it's a dope piano by the way, that sounded really good, because I was thinking like you don't really need a bass line at that point. You could just have like maybe like a bass note on the first kick of every bar or every 4 bars, or like an 808 kick or something every few bars, really, because just the drums and the piano just sounded great by itself. So you could just, the main thing is the bass, I should say, just try to fix that, bring it down, just make it a little thicker, a little heavier. If not, then just take it out completely and just use a bass note or an 808 kick every few bars and see what happens with that. Because, like I said, that piano was really, really nice. You did a good job on that. And when you bring the strings in at the end of the synth, it sounded good. But I would just keep that simple. You don't have to get too complex with it. Just keep it simple because it did sound really good. It blended nicely. But I would have liked to have heard more of that. It was only at the end, so I would like to have heard more of that shit. But yeah, great job on the piano though. Good shit. All right, so next up we've got Intense Beats with Pink Toys. Let's check it out.
IntenseBeats.net. You know, Hoss, if I'm not mistaken, I think I can still smell your wife's pussy stink on my gun.
All right. Okay, so that was Intense Beats with Pink Toys. Okay, so first of all, you did a good job of making use of that 2 minutes. Okay, so you have a nice production going on, so that's really good. Okay, you got a good drum track. The bass is what really does the track. Obviously, I mean, you got that like that wah wah bass, so that's really good. And I'm assuming you're using some kind of compression on it or something, or maybe not, I don't know, but you're able to keep it in check, the bass line, so that was good, because it's a heavy bass, but it's not too heavy. It's just enough. It fits just enough in the mix. So I wouldn't touch that at all. It's very, very good. The drums are good. There's nothing, you didn't do anything crazy with the drums. You kept it simple. But I would say watch the levels, because I could tell the kick was just slightly, it's getting there, a little distorted, sort of, so. But the overall mix was a little heavy, a little hot. So just be careful of that. A lot of these types of beats, that's what happens. A lot of these, the mixes get so big, so hot, and it's very obvious, So that's why you just gotta be careful of that shit. There's some beats that I've heard that were fantastic, but the mix was just too loud, and I was like, I can't do this, So, but anyway, so no, you did a good job with the bass. Drums are good, pattern's good. Like I said, just watch the levels. And but around the 45 second mark, you brought in that high pitched synth pan left, and okay, it's good that you brought something in, but honestly, to me that sounded cheesy. I wouldn't use that synth. It really threw me off. I didn't expect that. I don't think it went with the rest of the track, because the rest of the track was good. So I don't think you should have gone with that. And I wrote an article just a few weeks ago about how more and more beat makers and producers should be using electric guitar in their beats, or just any other odd, non-hip-hop traditional instrument, let's say. But, in this case, like electric guitar, 'cause, look, if you think about it, you look at something like rock and roll, it's, electric guitar, man. That's the stuff that everybody was using, and it works. It's just, rock is so popular, but anyway, you could use that. Not saying you have a full, electric guitar lead or whatever, but just something very, very subtle, just like you did with the synth, but just a guitar, man, just electric guitar. Put that pan left, very subtle, and I think that'll add some nice flavor to the beat. So I would go with something like that. But like I said, just watch the levels on everything there, and I would ace that 86, that little synth to the left there. So, but other than that, good job. All right, so next up we get the last beat. It's Issa Lux with MMG. Let's check it out. All right. Okay, so that was It's a Lux with MMG. All right, so I've heard this beat before. It's driving me nuts. I mean, did I review this already? I don't know. I'm trying to remember, trying to look it up. I just can't find it, but I heard it recently. It must have been the Beat This competition or something, but it was in there, man. I heard this before. But this is a dope beat, man. I like this. I don't really have too much to say, too much to complain about, but it's just it's good. I mean, it's you kept everything in check with the mix. I mean, the bass is heavy, but not too heavy. There's a couple of spots it could have maybe a little bit, but whatever. It's just nitpicking, and it's you got good drum work. I like the fact that you got the nice synth coming in and stuff, but then you drop in the piano, and the piano's dope because it reminds me. It's almost like a horror movie theme, right? It sounds like the Halloween theme, right? And then you start bringing in the hat, later on and stuff, which is good because at first you don't realize that you just got the kick and snare, and all of a sudden you bring the hat in, which is great. And you did a good job on that because you just didn't bring it in like a regular hat. You had like a stuttering part and all that stuff. So that was really good. I mean, I didn't like the way you ended it. I know it's only 2 minutes and stuff. But, it would have been nice if you had actually just, fitted it out or something, or just done something, some kind of delay or something at the end just to give it some flavor. But other than that, though, it's a really good beat. I like it. It would be interesting to hear an MC on top of this. Because that's the problem with some of the beats, right? I mean, sometimes you make a beat and it's good, So I think that's the only thing I would say about this beat is that it's one of those beats that it's so good on its own, but how would it be if you put vocals on top? Because sometimes you get a beat that's good, but then when you put vocals, it just doesn't sound the same. I mean, a while ago I heard a track by what's his name there? Anyway, one of these producers, I can't remember the name, and a well-known producer, and I remember hearing the instrumental at first, and then years ago, and it's so good, but then one day he put an MC on top of it, of that same beat, and when I heard it, I was like, man, this doesn't sound, it sounds like shit, it just doesn't sound good because it's so good on its own. You don't need vocals on top and stuff. So anyway, so for your beat, I would say keep it everything as is, but I'd be hesitant to use it, to put a rapper on top or whatever and stuff, So like if some rapper wants to work with you with this beat, you'd have to change something up, you'd have to do something, give the vocals some kind of space, and it's hard to do with the type of beat you did, But anyway, it's a fantastic beat, good shit. All right, so that's it, man. That's the last beat. Okay, so that's it for me. I'm Mr. Fate. This is Attacking the Beats. Make sure you keep sending in those beats. I'm still backlogged. I got a lot of stuff to review here, but keep sending them in. I'll keep reviewing them. And that's it. So my favorite beat this week, the winner is, drum roll please, It's a Lux with MMG. Let's check it out.